Gold at $3,000. I know it's really sensational. Hang on. Gold at $3,000 and oil at $100 by 2025. City analysts don't rule it out. Hello, GoldSilver family. Alan Hibbard here with another video, and today I want to walk you through some of the latest price predictions from the big banks. Many of them have been upwardly revising their gold price predictions for 2024, and I want to share those with you. And rather than just read off the latest price predictions, I want to walk you through what their predictions have been since the start of the year and show you how have those matched up with reality. So let's take a look. We're going to be spending some time in Excel today. I hope you guys enjoy that. The first thing I want to start with is, what was the price of gold to kick off the year? Well, it stayed between the 2,000 and 2,100 range for about a month and a half. And at this time, let me show you what the banks were predicting. Goldman Sachs raises average gold price forecast for 2024 to 2,180 from 2,090. So Goldman Sachs actually started the year with a prediction of 2,090, but funny enough, I couldn't find any evidence of them saying that. I could only find evidence of them changing it from 2,090 to something else. So here we sort of start off with a double whammy, two different price predictions from Goldman Sachs. So 2,180 is the latest. And this comes from March 15th. Goldman Sachs has raised its average gold price forecast for 2024 to $2,180 from $2,090. The current price is trading at $2,161. And again, that was the middle of March. Another prediction comes from an article, gold at $3,000. I know it's really sensational. Hang on. Gold at $3,000 and oil at $100 by 2025. City analysts don't rule it out. Okay, but if we dig down, we see that they talk about three potential triggers here. If central banks sharply ramp up purchases of the yellow metal, a possible stagflation, or in case of a deep global recession, gold could go up a lot, right? Citi maintains their base case for bullion is 2,150 in the second half of 2024. Okay, so 2,150. Now, they don't rule out $3,000 an ounce, but that's not their base case. So let's start with 2,150, and we'll come back to 3,000 a little bit later. Finally, JP Morgan predicts record highs for gold. Should you invest now? This was back in August of last year, 2023, so almost a year old at this point. But here's what they were saying back then. Gold will average $2012 by the middle of next year, so basically right now, and hit 2,175 per ounce by the fourth quarter of 2024. So 2,175 was their end of 2024 prediction, and let's see how they did. First of all, let's put those predictions on the chart. These three lines are what we just looked at, the three predictions, 2,090, 2,150, 2,180. Is that what we just said? 2,175, 2,150. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's what these three predictions are. And so from this point in February, for example, even though these predictions were made before that, what does it look like? Well, gold could have traded from here to get up to these values by the end of 2024. It could have traded in this range. What did it actually do? Shot straight up like a rocket. Look at it. Gold took off. I mean, obviously, you guys know this if you follow the price of gold, but it is interesting to see such a stark contrast like this. Gold just took off. It blew through all these estimates, obviously, well in advance of the end of the year. Okay, so let's add a little bit more room here to the chart. Kind of compress this because we are going higher from here. Okay, so what happened then? Well, we've got some more articles. Goldman Sachs raises average gold price forecast for 2024 to 2,180 from 2,090. Okay, this is what we just looked at. I think I had the wrong article a second ago. I apologize. So we've seen that 2,180 coming. Gold could hit 2,200 by end of 2024. That's according to UBS. And by the way, they actually made this prediction in December of 2023. Okay, so we're sort of going backwards in time, but we're going upwards in price. Okay, so part of this video is chronological and part of it is in order of increasing price. There's a bit of a mix here. So 2,200, that's a prediction from UBS going into the year. Goldman Sachs, another one from Goldman Sachs. Gold price on track for $2,300 in 2024. So despite the ongoing questions facing the Federal Reserve regarding interest rate cuts, Goldman Sachs has revised its gold price forecast, stating that the metal is on track for $2,300 value in 2024. Previously, Goldman Sachs predicted gold to end the year at 2090, then 2180. So we already have 3 different predictions from Goldman Sachs. It keeps going higher and higher. And this was from March, actually just 2 days after, this other one in March 15th and then March 17th. So increasing that prediction in close succession. And finally, gold's on track to hit $2,400 this year. Less dependent on Fed rate cuts. That's according to Bank of America. So in a note published Tuesday, commodity analysts led by Michael Widmer reiterated their call for gold prices to push to $2,400 an ounce this year. We had previously proposed a $2,400 per ounce price estimate. If the Fed cuts rates in the first quarter of 2024, we commit to that estimate for this year, even if rate cuts come later. Okay, so let's add those to the chart. Here we go. All right, so we've got some red lines, and the color, by the way, is from each bank. Tried to match it up with the color in their logos. And the starting point of the line, you'll notice this line here doesn't start at the beginning of the chart. That's intentional. The start of this line is actually the earliest time I could find the bank mentioning that price prediction. So all the lines that start on the left here were predictions that were made at some point in 2023, right? The end of the year usually. And all the lines that start in the middle of 2024, those were predictions that were made in the middle of the year, upward revisions. We've got one right here as well. Okay, so maybe we should get rid of the previous estimates just for now. Otherwise, this chart's going to get real messy. All right, so looking at these predictions, how could the price of gold moved from here to get to the end of the year? Well, it could have looked like this, trading somewhere in this range, and it would end up somewhere between these values if these predictions were on target. And what did gold actually do? It took off like a rocket. Again, it's off the chart, so we got to give it a little bit more room here. So yeah, gold shot up over 2,400. So it is at this point where the banks really started upwardly revising their forecasts. Let me go a little bit higher. Well, we can look at the news now. What else did they say? Gold is JP Morgan's top pick in commodities, with price eyeing $2,500 per ounce. This came in March. Gold is the number 1 pick in commodities market for JP Morgan Chase & Company, and the price has the potential to reach $2,500 an ounce this year, according to the bank's global head of commodities research. We believe that $2,500 is a possibility, blah, blah, blah. To achieve that price target, we need a confirmation from continued moderation in the inflation and in the jobs numbers, as well as the confirmations that the Fed indeed is cutting. And by the way, according to the prediction markets, the CME Fed Watch tool, we now have a 100% probability that the Fed cuts rates in September. So the magnitude of the cut is up for debate, but according to traders, we have a 100% probability of a rate cut in September. So it looks like we're getting a cut, and JP Morgan is thinking gold is going to 2,500. Gold could soar 25% in the next 18 months as Middle East tensions and Fed easing boost the precious metal, Citi says. So now we have a prediction from Citi.
Hi, I just wanted to take a moment and thank you for subscribing and mention that if you'd like to help our channel, please consider my company, GoldSilver.com, the next time you buy precious metals. We're one of the most trusted names in the industry. Our prices are sharp, delivery is fast, and we have an insiders program where you find out exactly what I'm doing with my own investments. Thanks for making GoldSilver.com your dealer. And now back to the video.
Fed easing boost the precious metal, Citi says. So now we have a prediction from Citi. This came in April. In a Monday note to clients, Akash Doshi, one of the Citi strategists, said that the bank saw gold smashing through $3,000 per ounce within the next 6 to 18 months. Okay, so not necessarily by the end of the year, but again, we're seeing $3,000. That's the second bank to mention that. The team also upgraded its 2024 price target for gold to $2,350 and adjusted the 2025 forecast to $2,875. They also expect trading to regularly test and breach $2,500 per ounce in the latter part of 2024. Okay, so we could use $2,350. I think I used $2,500 here on the chart, so we'll take a look at that in a second. Got a couple more. Gold to surge to 2,500, UBS predicts. Okay, so we have JP Morgan, we have Citi, we have UBS, all calling for $2,500 an ounce, and that's not even the highest forecast. Okay, so we expect gold ETF holdings to increase once the Federal Reserve starts cutting rates around mid-year. With this expected catalyst still ahead, UBS has lifted its forecast, expecting gold to trade at 2,300 per ounce in June. Okay, that was last month, and 2,500 per ounce at the end of 2024. Okay, so 3 banks at 2,500. Gold prices 2024 outlook. Goldman Sachs raises its forecast. Again, this is the 4th one from Goldman Sachs. This is April. In a note to clients this week, the investment bank noted that gold's relative stability after this week's stronger than expected US CPI print was yet another demonstration that the metals bull market is not being driven by the usual macro suspects. That's important. Not being driven by the usual macro suspects. Okay, so I'm not going to read this whole thing. You can pause if you want, but this sort of highlights the fact that a lot of these banks were relying on usual macro suspects, and it didn't line up the way they thought. So if they underestimated gold in the first half of the year, what could happen in the second half? They upgraded their price forecast to $2,700 per ounce by the year end compared to the previous expectation of $2,300 per ounce. Okay, so we have some big moves. So we're going all the way up to 2,700 here. Let me upgrade this here. So what comes next? We've got these targets here. So there's 3 lines here clustered together. They're all at 2,500. I spaced them out by about $5 up or down, so you can see all 3 of those lines. Hopefully it shows up. And 2,700 up here from Goldman Sachs. And so what could the price of gold have done from here to get within that range? Well, it could have looked like this. By the way, let me get rid of the previous ones. And what did gold actually do? Chopped sideways, down a little bit. It poked its head into that range. And by the way, that was an all-time high. I don't want to diminish that. That's obviously super significant. And as of this moment, we're actually trading above that right now. So yeah, gold chopped sideways. However, we're only halfway through the year, and we're not even done with all the predictions. We have a few more, and of course, gold could easily climb up into this range very, very easily. We have a little bit more to talk about, 2 more articles. UBS boosts gold price forecast for 2024. Here's the new target. UBS has raised its forecast for gold prices, projecting the precious metal to reach $2,600 per ounce by the end of 2024, up from the previous target of $2,500 per ounce. And the big boy, Bank of America sees gold at $3,000, warns of a copper supply crisis. Okay, gold prices are projected to jump to $3,000 per ounce by 2025. So by the time it starts, that's according to Bank of America, buoyed by strong demand from central banks and the anticipation of investors returning to the market once the Federal Reserve begins to slash interest rates. So a few things are noteworthy here. Obviously, a $3,000 price target, that's huge. That's coming from a major bank. That's not coming from, some rogue investor out on their own. And a second thing to note here is just how different the reasons are that each of these banks give for their price targets, whether it's returning to ETFs or the Fed cutting rates or central bank gold buying or the usual macroeconomic suspects. Each of these banks is providing a different set of reasons for their gold price forecasts. So what if they're all right? What if all of these reasons work together? Think about that. All right, let's put these last couple estimates on here. This is what we have. And of course, this data only goes to the first half of the year, to July 1st. We've had a couple weeks of data, but I decided not to put it there because I sort of had this idea of, rather than come up with some sophisticated modeling of my own, which presumably is what the banks are using, okay, but they're getting vastly different results from each other. So rather than using a sophisticated model or whatever, let me just take a very naive approach out of curiosity and suppose that gold performs in the second half the way it performed in the first half. So what if I just take this yellow line and copy and paste it end to end? Where would gold end up over here? Well, it would look like this. So it's the purple line, and it's dotted because it's hypothetical. So you can see, let me kind of zoom in a little bit here. You could see that if this were to happen, and of course I don't expect it to happen this way, gold would trade above 2,700 a couple times. It would reach almost 27.50, about 27.40. And if this were to play out, it would end the year at about 26.40. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to bet on that specific outcome, but it's certainly interesting. So also interesting is $3,000 an ounce. And remember, Bank of America started at $2,400 an ounce and they revised it upward. So that's all I've got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that run through of how the major banks have changed their gold price predictions throughout the first half of 2024. The second half should be very interesting. I'll keep an eye on it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.